Good morning, everybody. As you know, my name's Shaun Powell, General Sales Manager for ABLOY UK, and this morning what I'd like to present to you is a particular product solution of ours that we, or the hospitals that have currently implemented this system, have found to be most beneficial to them. And in this day and age where we're constantly being asked to embrace and invest in new technology to work smarter and more efficiently, we feel this particular solution ticks a lot of the boxes and gives you some other added benefits and features on top of. So I'll kick off with the main presentation. And firstly, I'd like to start off with a question. What's the most common phrase you will hear on any hospital or busy hospital ward? A few of you are smiling already. You probably know the answer to this one. You hear it time and time again, and if I could have £1 for every time I've heard this, I'll probably have my holiday spending money sorted for the next few years. The answer, I know some of you already know it by the smiles in the order. Who's got the drug keys? Everybody shouts this around the ward. Who's got the drug keys? Patients, visitors, everybody comments on it. Nurses chasing around for this big bunch of keys. And when they eventually find the holder, or who's got these keys, it's still not quite over, because once they've got the keys and they toddle off to the treatment room, they then have to open the cabinet, and it's a case of, okay, I think it might be this one, or it could be this one, and 3 or 4 attempts later, they're into the drug cabinet. So how can we improve on that current scenario? So firstly, we need to understand the challenges around drug security in hospitals, and some of the things that we face is obviously the efficiency. We're constantly being asked to be more efficient, looking at nursing efficiency. There's a very large flexible workforce in any hospital, a lot of permanent staff, temporary staff, bank staff, all needing access to keys from time to time. Obviously, prevention of drug loss is a major challenge issue. And there's many different styles of cabinets to lock on a typical hospital ward. And there's this little conundrum of balancing act between security and convenience, because by the nature of the fact, when you try and make something more convenient, you're making it less secure in many ways. So it's trying to find the right balance between security and convenience, and giving security to those that should have access to, and making that a timely and efficient process for them. Other drivers in medicine control is, again, security, but patient care. Obviously, patients need to receive medication in a timely and efficient manner. And all of these things obviously come under the watchful eye of the CQC, and whatever locking solution you will put on some of these cabinets, it also has to be a compliant solution. There are standards surrounding certain drug cabinets. And the thing I really want to keep coming back to as part of this presentation today is the efficiency side and nursing time wasted. And the figures I'm about to present to you here, they're not alternative facts. I'll try and be a little bit topical there, but these are figures that were produced by a particular hospital that installed our particular ABLOY CLIQ solution, and these figures they obtained from the data within the system. So these are fairly accurate, based on a trial they carried out on one of their wards, and they found to be that on average, a drug cupboard was opened 90 times a day by various personnel. 90 times various cabinets accessing by different people. On a busy ward, a nurse can use their key 44 times in a single shift. 44 times where normally they would have been toddling off to find that bunch of keys, to then go back and fundle around and try and get the right key to open the cabinet. 44 times they were using their key in a single shift. This was a question that the hospital then asked of their own staff at the time, and asking them how much time they spent with the old solution, the bunch of keys, looking for keys during their shift. And the answers back from the staff varied from 30 to 40 minutes. So when you average that out between 6 nurses on a ward, that's 3 hours a day of combined nursing time wasted looking for keys. Time that you're never going to get back again, time that could have been used for doing more valuable things and functions and duties. So that's quite a considerable amount of time wasted on a given shift. So the solution, as we see it, is to take that big bunch of keys and give you a single key solution to open multiple cabinets. That's the end goal aim. So now I'm going to show you a brief doodle video which explains a little bit more detail how the system works.
It is a real inconvenience to carry a bunch of keys every day. You end up with so many keys for so many different locks, it can become a real nuisance. Not if you use ABLOY CLIQ remote. With ABLOY CLIQ you have a single key that you can program for all your locks, including door cylinders, padlocks and cabinet locks. Once programmed, the key can open designated locks at specified times and dates. At the beginning of the day, users place their key into the wall-mounted updater unit to update their access rights. At the end of the day, the key can be placed into the same unit and an audit trail is downloaded over the internet. This allows for extra security and checks. Any lost or stolen keys can be deleted from the system for extra security. Now you can exchange your cumbersome bunch of keys for a single secure ABLOY CLIQ remote key. If you need a key holder to access a lock outside of their planned schedule, access can be granted by using a mobile connected updater unit. For secure and efficient peace of mind, use ABLOY CLIQ remote.
Okay, so that gives you a brief understanding of how the system functions. And some of the key features and benefits that the system gives you, and it was mentioned briefly in that doodle video there. But a lost key can be quickly deleted from the system. Currently, if you lose your key to your CD cabinets, major issue obviously, but then you're normally contacting the maintenance estates department to come out to break into that cabinet, drill the lock out, change the lock, issue new keys. Again, timely and costly. With this system, there's no need to do that. You delete the key from the system, your system then remains secure and intact. And then a new key can be quickly programmed. And that goes for new staff as well, whether they're permanent or a temporary bank member of staff. You can quickly program a key for that individual to work on that particular ward that they are working on. So it's specifically programmed by department, and it will only access the keys they're allowed, access the locks they're allowed to open. And if you, for argument's sake, you would have certain members of staff that would access all drug cabinets, but then other staff members that wouldn't have access to CD cabinets or CD drugs, but everything else. And again, you can program that key individually to their particular access rights. And more importantly, an audit trail can then be taken from the system of the actual lock or key activity. When a cabinet was opened and by who and at what time and how long that cabinet was left open. So a really good feature as well when obviously a particular incident occurs. And this system can be easily retrofitted to your existing drug cabinets. And it includes a host of different types of cabinet. Because there's no power in the lock, there's no batteries in the lock. The power is given to the lock by the key itself. The key has a little lithium watch battery in the head of the key. That gives power to the lock. It makes it very flexible as to where we can fit these various locks. So all these varying different drug cabinets, we can fit a particular lock within the family of product that will work from that single key. So whether it be a CD cabinet, mobile drug trolleys, drug fridges, your typical wooden cabinets that you'll get in a treatment room, the base and the wall cabinets, may not particularly house controlled drugs, but saline fluids and etc. And even pod lockers, patient-owned drugs, bedside lockers, we can normally find a lock that will retrofit the existing cabinet. So then we get this one single key that will be able to access everything on the ward. And we're also now looking at even bedside cabinets, even though you may not particularly have this particular locking system fitted to the bedside lockers. We're seeing now a lot of bedside lockers are going away from keys again to card-operated solutions. And whilst that's great, what we don't want to do is to have the nurse having a key and a card to access those bedside lockers. So what we do, we put an RFID chip in the head of the key, which is the same technology that the card system uses. So then the nurses, should they need to access the bedside locker, will just touch the bedside locker with the key and they will give access. Obviously, you don't want to give a patient one of these keys. Obviously, they're a little bit more expensive than a traditional key. So the patient has a traditional RFID card, so if they lose it, they don't return it when they're discharged. Then it's not a problem, you delete it and add a new card to the system. So we're also trying to integrate it with other furniture and products on the hospital ward. So all this adds up to this, obviously, nursing time saved, because you're giving them one credential to access everything on the ward. So obviously that's extra time saved that can be released back to patient care. Patients have found to have, obviously, medication received a lot quicker. So ultimately, happy nurses and happy patients. So these are some of the hospitals and installs we've done to date, and the list is growing, and that's out of date even now, that have used an ABLOY CLIQ locking system, including some of the private hospitals. And what I wanted to present to you now is a video from one of those installations, North Lincolnshire and Goole, that have fitted this system a number of years ago and are currently still expanding on the system. And I'd like to play you this video now from North Lincolnshire and Goole.
A few years ago, the Department of Health wanted all trusts to audit the security of their medicines. And one of the things that we found during our audits was that some wards there were issues of medicines cupboards not being locked all the time. We chose Protec to CLIQ because it was the only system that we'd seen on the market which did what we needed to do in terms of providing adequate security and being able to be installed easily on through our drug cupboards. What we did was that we had a trial on one ward, and that showed how effective the system was in terms of making sure that the cupboards were always locked. What we also found was that nurses were saying that having their own keys was saving them a lot of time, and they weren't having to move around their colleagues asking where the keys were. So this led us to look at how much time they were actually spending looking for keys, and we estimated that on an average shift, each nurse would spend about 40 minutes per shift looking for keys. When we made the link between the time saving for nurses and the cost of implementing the system, the argument was very easy to win. The return on investment is incredible. We estimate it costs about £3,500 per ward to install the system, and that money is saved in released nursing time in about 2 months. So that equates to a return on investment of 600% in the first 12 months, which quite frankly is incredible. We're now in our third year of installation of this system. Each year we've added about 20 wards to the system, so we've got 60 wards on it now, and we think we've probably got another 2 years to go to complete the whole trust. Because the system saves our nurses time in not having to look for keys, they're able to spend more time with patients. But it does make a significant impact on them, and one of our ward sisters says it's changed their lives, not having to look for keys, and it's such a better way of working for them.
Okay. So there you go. So Mike obviously made some very good points there based on obviously his personal experience of the system. And obviously, again, it keeps coming up, but nursing time saved. And he used that basis to put his business case together, really. for the obviously funding to install the system, because of the time it saved, and the payback was pretty impressive. Obviously improved drug security, and with the audit trail backing up the business case, so if there is any incidents or events, the system will give you a lot of additional information when you're investigating that particular event. So it does lead to more accurate and reduced investigation time. And one of the pharmacy managers from one of the trusts we installed the system said to me the other day that, Shaun, we had an incident the other day, and normally that would have taken me hours, maybe days, investigating and playing Inspector Morse as to who actually had access to that cabinet on that given day. Whereas now with the CLIQ system, it was just a case of identifying the cabinet in question, the day in question, putting those search parameters in the system, hitting a button, and then it just brings up a list of people who actually accessed that cabinet on that given day. So his investigation time was immediately reduced. Just then had to ask a couple of certain questions of certain members of staff. It was an innocent explanation in the end. They were opening the drug cabinet, administering a dosage, and there was an emergency case came on the ward, so they quickly shut the cabinet but forgot to log it in the book. It was innocent, but at least he understood what happened, and obviously that investigation time was vastly reduced. So that's another real good added benefit of the system. And as I say, it does deliver business efficiency in both patient care and financial investment, money saved. As Mike said, return on investment. The system pays for itself typically within 2 months with just nursing time saved alone. And it's an established and proven solution in the healthcare sector now. We've got, as you see, a large number of hospitals now, which is growing all the time, that have using this system and been using this system for a number of years now. So it's a proven, established solution. It wasn't initially designed for this particular sector or this particular marketplace. This solution is used in many other applications of critical infrastructure, airports, government buildings and so forth. So, as I say, it's a very good, tried and tested, secure solution. And I think one of the things I'd also like to come on to, and linking it back to Clive's presentation, is 3D printing, because that's also a challenge in the security industry ourselves, because, as we mentioned, all manner of things can be reproduced from a 3D printer, including any one of these keys. Take a photograph and bingo, you can produce a key that can access a particular cabinet, door, room, building. So it is a challenge for the security industry as a whole as well. And obviously with the ABLOY CLIQ key, yes, you can copy that key, the mechanical cuts on that key, but because of the added additional electronic features, you also need the electronic access as well. So you've got double layered security. So that gets around a lot of the key copying issues as well. So going slightly off script, but bringing it back to, it's amazing where 3D printing is going, and some of the challenges it causes in as well as other things. So that's what I wanted to show to you today.